in bracket, in Russian, close bracket, close footnote. Of course, it might be argued that a simple instinctive cry of the first eagle, or even its movements, would have had the same effect of bringing several eagles to the prey. But in this case there is strong evidence in favor of mutual warning, because the 10 eagles came together before descending towards the prey, and Syevertsoff had later on several opportunities of ascertaining that the white-tailed eagles always assembled for devouring a corpse, and that some of them (open bracket, the younger ones first, close bracket) always keep watch while the others are eating. In fact, the white-tailed eagle, one of the bravest and best hunters, is a gregarious bird altogether, and Brehm says that when kept in captivity it very soon contracts an attachment to its keepers. Sociability is a common feature with very many other birds of prey. The Brazilian kite, one of the most impudent robbers, is nevertheless a most sociable bird. Its hunting associations have been described by Darwin and other naturalists, and it is a fact that when it has seized upon a prey which is too big, it calls together 5 or 6 friends to carry it away. After a busy day, when these kites retire for their night rest to a tree or to the bushes, they always gather in bands, sometimes coming together from distances of 10 or more miles, and they often are joined by several other vultures, especially the percnopters, their true friends, D'Aubigny says. In another continent, in the Transcaspian deserts, they have, according to Zarodny, the same habit of nesting together. The sociable vulture, one of the strongest vultures, has received its very name from its love of society. They live in numerous bands, and decidedly enjoy society. Numbers of them join in their high flights for sport. They live in very good friendship, Le Vaillant says, and in the same cave I sometimes found as many as 3 nests close together. Open footnote. A. Brehm, Life of Animals, Fed. 477. All quotations after the French edition. Close footnote. The Urubu vultures of Brazil are as, or perhaps even more, sociable than rooks. Open footnote. Bates, page 151. Close footnote. The little Egyptian vultures live in close friendship. They play in bands in the air, they come together to spend the night, and in the morning they all go together to search for their food, and never does the slightest quarrel arise among them. Such is the testimony of Brehm, who had plenty of opportunities of observing their life. The red-throated falcon is also met with in numerous bands in the forests of Brazil, and the kestrel (Tynanculus sancris), when it has left Europe and has reached in the winter the prairies and forests of Asia, gathers in numerous societies. In the steppes of South Russia it is (or rather was) so sociable that Nordman saw them in numerous bands with other falcons (Falco tynanculus, F. ozulen, and F. subeteo), coming together every fine afternoon about 4 o'clock, and enjoying their sports till late in the night. They set off flying all at once in a quite straight line towards some determined point, and having reached it, immediately returned over the same line to repeat the same flight. Catalogue raisonné des oiseaux de la faune pontique in Demidov's Voyage, abstracts in Brehm, 3rd, 360. During the migrations, birds of prey often associate. One flock which H. Seebohm saw crossing the Pyrenees represented a curious assemblage of 8 kites, 1 crane, and a peregrine falcon. The Birds of Siberia, 1901, page 417. Close footnote. To take flights in flocks for the mere pleasures of the flight is quite common among all sorts of birds. In the Humber district especially, C.H. Dixon writes, vast flights of dunlins often appear upon the mud flats towards the end of August and remain for the winter. The movements of these birds are most interesting, as a vast flock wheels and spreads out or closes up with as much precision as drilled troops. Scattered among them are many odd stints and sanderlings and ring plovers. Birds in the Northern Shires, page 207. It would be quite impossible to enumerate here the various hunting associations of birds, but the fishing associations of the pelicans are certainly worthy of notice for the remarkable order and intelligence displayed by these clumsy birds. They always go fishing in numerous bands, and after having chosen an appropriate bay, they form a wide half circle in face of the shore, and narrow it by paddling towards the shore, catching all fish that happen to be enclosed in the circle. On narrow rivers and canals they even divide into 2 parties, each of which draws up on a half circle and both paddled to meet each other, just as if two parties of men dragging two long nets should advance to capture all fish taken between the nets when both parties come to meet. As the night comes, they fly to their resting places, always the same for each flock, and no one has ever seen them fighting for the possession of either the bay or the resting place. In South America, they gather in flocks of from 40 to 50,000 individuals, part of which enjoy sleep while the others keep watch, and others again go fishing. Max Perty, Weber das Seelenleben der Tiere. Leipzig, 1876, pages 87, 103. And finally, I should be doing an injustice to the much calumniated house sparrows if I did not mention how faithfully each of them shares any food it discovers with all members of the society to which it belongs. The fact was known to the Greeks, and it has been transmitted to posterity, how a Greek orator once exclaimed, I quote from memory, "While I am speaking to you, a sparrow has come to tell to other sparrows that a slave has dropped on the floor a sack of corn, and they all go there to feed upon the grain." The more one is pleased to find this observation of all confirmed in a recent little book by Mr. Gurney, who does not doubt that the house sparrows always inform each other as to where there is some food to steal. He says, "When a stack has been thrashed ever so far from the yard, the sparrows in the yard have always had their crops full of the grain." G. H. Gurney, The House Sparrow (London, 1885), page 5. True, the sparrows are extremely particular in keeping their domains free from the invasions of strangers. Thus the sparrows of the Jardin du Luxembourg bitterly fight all other sparrows which may attempt to enjoy their turn of the garden and its visitors, but within their own communities they fully practice mutual support, though occasionally there will be of course some quarrelling even amongst the best friends. Hunting and feeding in common is so much the habit in the feathered world that more quotations hardly would be needful. It must be considered as an established fact. As to the force derived from such associations, it is self-evident. The strongest birds of prey are powerless in face of the associations of our smallest bird pets. Even eagles, even the powerful and terrible booted eagle and the martial eagle, which is strong enough to carry away a hare or a young antelope in its claws, are compelled to abandon their prey to bands of those beggars, the kites, which give the eagle a regular chase as soon as they see it in possession of a good prey. The cats will also give chase to the swift fishing hawk and rob it of the fish it has captured, but no one ever saw the kites fighting together for the possession of the prey so stolen. On the Kerguelen Island, Dr. Coues saw the gulls to Buphogus, the sea-hen of the sealers, pursue, make them disgorge their food, while on the other side the gulls and the terns combined to drive away the sea-hen as soon as it came near to their abodes, especially at nesting time. Dr. Elliot Coues, Birds of the Kerguelen Island, in Smithsonian Miscellaneous Collections, Volume 13, No. 2, page 11. The little but extremely swift lapwings (Vanellus cristatus), boldly attack the birds of prey. To see them attacking a buzzard, a kite, a crow, or an eagle is one of the most amusing spectacles. One feels that they are sure of victory, and one sees the anger of the bird of prey. In such circumstances they perfectly support one another, and the courage grows with their numbers. Brehm, 4th, 567. The lapwing has well merited the name of a good mother which the Greeks gave to it, for it never fails to protect other aquatic birds from the attacks of their enemies. But even the little white wagtails (Motacilla alba), whom we well know in our gardens, and whose whole length hardly attains 8 inches, compel the sparrowhawk to abandon its hunt. I often admired the courage and agility the old Brehm wrote, and I am persuaded that the falcon alone is capable of capturing any of them. When a band of wagtails has compelled a bird of prey to retreat, they make the air resound with the triumphant cries, and after that they separate. They thus come together for the special purpose of giving chase to their enemy, just as we see it when the whole bird population of a forest has been raised by the news that a nocturnal bird has made its appearance during the day, and all together, birds of prey and small inoffensive singers, set to chase the stranger and make it return to its concealment. What an immense difference between the force of a kite, a buzzard, or a hawk, and such small birds as the meadow wagtail! And yet these little birds, by their common action and courage, prove superior to the powerfully especially winged and armed robbers. In Europe, the wagtails not only chase the birds of prey which might be dangerous to them, but they chase also the fishing hawk, rather for fun than for doing it any harm, while in India, according to Dr. Jordan's testimony, the jackdaws chase the